So often when transit advocates propose mass transit systems for a city in the United States or Canada, an unending stream of "we aren't a big city, you should move to New York, we can't do that," comes out of the woodwork. And I mean, it doesn't always feel irrational. Is it really reasonable to expect cities like Winnipeg or Tulsa to have trams, much less subway systems? Urban areas with less than 1 million people and serious rapid transit systems are basically non-existent here. But that doesn't mean they should be. And while incremental progress is important, it's also so important to have a North Star you can aspire to and try to work your way towards. So in today's video, we are doing just that. We're looking at a city with less than 500,000 people that does many things in transit better than big cities on this side of the pond. A few months ago, I did a video talking about the very impressive Lausanne Metro in Switzerland, which has 2 lines and very impressive ridership. But as it turns out, unsurprisingly, there are tons of small cities in Europe, which much larger cities in Europe and around the world could learn a lot from. And each city does some things slightly better than others and worse than others. The fact that cities just a fraction of the size of New York or Berlin or Tokyo are able to have comprehensive public transportation and green mobility systems is a key rebuttal needed by transit advocates to push for more transit in smaller cities. Rennes, which you may have never heard of, is in the northwestern Brittany region of France, about a 2-hour TGV ride from Paris. It has around 400,000 residents, so what makes the system just so special, besides the fact that it exists at all? The first thing that feels rather special for a city that does not appear on many top 10 lists is that it has a 2-line automated metro system. And, like most automated systems around the world, has platform screen doors as well. I don't think it's always appreciated, but there is a certain benefit to building a brand new system from scratch. And that's the ability to use modern technology to solve problems that only money used to be able to. In that way, modern new build systems can catch up to some of the world's best in key areas, like service frequency and wayfinding, for example. The most obvious example of this is replacing more expensive larger stations with smaller stations with more frequent trains. The former is a physical solution to the problem that requires more dirt to be moved and more cost. The latter is a technical solution that uses modern signaling systems to provide more trains per hour, but which saves money, provides the same capacity, and provides a better service. Modern automated systems also tend to be more flexible with maintenance, which allows Rennes to run 24-hour service on key holidays like New Year's Day, as well as provide later service on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday nights, so you can go out and party, I guess? I don't really know. I mainly make YouTube videos. The point is, on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday in Rennes, the metro runs to nearly 2 a.m. What might be interesting to you, especially if you've watched this channel for a long time, is that despite being low cost and being in a small city, almost the entire Rennes metro is underground. And that's because in countries like France that have so much technical expertise in building metros and tunnels, the cost of building an underground metro isn't all that much greater than going above ground, especially in a smaller city where you don't have tons of existing lines to work around. In the case of Rennes, only a handful of the system's 28 metro stations are actually above the ground. And because the lines are able to dive deep underground to directly connect key destinations, you get this winding pair of metro lines. Despite this targeted transit approach, the coverage of the city of Rennes is actually really good. There are metro legs headed to the northwest, northeast, southwest, and southeast. At the same time, the double-cross design of the network provides more stations and better coverage in the dense city center, with 2 interchange stations, one right at the center of the city and one at the main train station. By comparison, the suburban branches serve large housing estates, universities, and park and ride facilities. These facilities allow people visiting from smaller towns on the outskirts of Rennes to drive to a park and ride, leave their car, and head into the city center very quickly on the metro. And that means that the city center isn't all that congested with motor vehicles. And better yet, unlike some larger cities, Toronto, there is full service within the underground portions of the metro, so you can watch YouTube as you ride along. Interestingly, Rennes also has its own smart fare card system, and fare readers which accept contactless card payment, which some large cities still haven't done. But probably more importantly, the city has logical, affordable fares. They're free for kids, lower for youth and seniors, and still low for the general working public. If you're under 25, you can get a monthly pass in Rennes for just 25 euros, and you can get a yearly pass for less than 250 euros. By comparison, the cost of a monthly Metro card in New York City is dangerously close to half the cost of a yearly pass in Rennes. What's even cooler though is that Rennes' fare card is multimodal. You can use it on SNCF's TER regional train services, local buses, and even on the docked cycle share scheme, which of course Rennes has. Now, the well-researched among you may mention that, but Rennes used Val, a terrible gadget bond, so clearly there's some dark magic going on there. And to some extent you're right, Rennes would have been better off using a standard rail system with small trains, sort of like some of the lines on the Grand Paris Express or the Brescia Metro. By the way, if you like videos about small metros, make sure you're subscribed and you hit the bell icon because I'll be making many more in the future. But that being said, rubber-tired trains, as long as they aren't trams lore, are mostly a problem for technicians working at the city or the transit agency. Rennes' network is fully accessible, provides excellent wayfinding, really frequent service, and so while VAL technology and gadget bonds in general are a poor technology choice, ultimately they're one that has a direct impact on the transit agency, but not on the residents using the lines who get to enjoy all of the benefits. If you're curious, Line A uses the older VAL technology, with fixed block signaling and automation, albeit with tiny blocks that more or less approximate the effect of moving block. Line B, on the other hand, uses Neo-VAL, which is the modernized VAL technology that does use some simplified infrastructure, and features full modern CBTC signaling. If you partake in online urbanist discussion, you might be thinking, sure, Rennes has a metro, but if it had been smart, it could have had a modern French tram, like so many other provincial French cities and Paris, and all of the beautiful urban design that comes with that. And well, truth be told, maybe. But I think the reality is just that the French are really good at urban design. And the Rennes Metro has a ton of beautiful stations, surrounded by lovely public spaces. The elevated tracks that the trains run on are also gorgeous. They're low so that they don't have a huge visual impact, but they have unique designs. On Line A, there's this interesting metal crosshatch design, whereas on Line B, there's this concrete design that makes the guideway pillars look like tree trunks. It's incredibly thoughtful, and you can tell the designers and engineers who worked on these projects really cared. And the result of these thoughtful policies and good transit? Both Line A and B of Rennes Metro move more than 100,000 riders per day, which are extremely respectable numbers even for a minor line in a large city. If you create good transit that people can afford to use and choose over cars, they will use it. To put things in perspective, Vancouver, a city lauded for being one of the most transit-friendly in North America, its Canada Line subway moves similar numbers of people every single day to one of Rennes' metro lines, despite the fact that Vancouver is like 5 times larger. Ultimately, why Rennes excites me so much is I can imagine a future where small cities around the world have as impressive transit systems, with a modest but high-quality metro, integrated regional ticketing, affordable fares, and beautiful urban design. And those cities would be so much better for it. Thanks for watching.